Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fort Valley Utility Commission call meeting for September 8th, 2020. We thank you for joining us on this teleconference, and we're going to call this meeting to order. If you would, Mayor Williams, would you say a word of prayer for us?
Be happy to. Let's bow, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you this afternoon, thanking you for life, health, and strength, all the blessings of your love that you have shown upon us. We come to you this afternoon also with a bowed head, with the thought of one of our own that we have lost in our minds. We ask that you be with that family as they grieve the loss of their loved ones. Be with her constituents as they grieve the loss of a servant. Be with Fort Valley State as they grieve the loss of an humble servant. Be with us as we try to recover from this situation. And then, Lord, while this COVID has taken such a toll on us physically, as well as financially and spiritually too, we ask that you restore all of the resilience that this community is known for, so that we can continue to do the things that you would be pleased with. Be with us throughout this meeting, guide our tongues, guide our minds, and guide our thoughts as we try to conduct the business that represents the people that you have given us to serve. Bless those who serve and bless those who we serve is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mayor Williams, and I thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for your time, your patience, and your understanding in these trying times. Moving on with our beginning our agenda. General Manager, would you have anything you want to say to the commissioners and staff this time?
You're muted, Craig. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Okay, thank
My
you.
apologies. Yeah, I would like for us to start with the USDA bond, if that's possible, Mr. Chairman.
USDA bond, okay. All right, moving on. We're gonna start with USA bond and USDA bond. And let's move on that. Miss Kathy, I guess that jumps in your wheelhouse.
Charles is going to do that.
Mr. Charles, okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think everyone's aware of the USDA financing for the water tower project, Fort Valley State University. That project is being financed by revenue bonds from the Utility Commission. What has to happen with the bond resolution is it has to be approved ultimately by the Superior Court, Peach County. You need to take official action to adopt the bond resolution. Pretty much you've already agreed on every aspect of that bond issue. There's a resolution that I prepared that kind of dictates the provisions of the bond resolution. You're doing $2,387,000 in total for the bond issue. That includes the bond resolution itself and some temporary financing. The resolution that you have before you, it really just talks about the bond issue, and so I will need to amend that to include that it covers the temporary bond financing as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but I think we've done, some of you have already signed some paperwork that we've submitted to USDA to help in processing the loan that we're getting from USDA that the bond will pay back. But I'll be happy to answer any questions, but the whole purpose is to formally adopt the bond resolution. And it will be the temporary bond resolution and for the permanent bond financing.
Any questions, Mayor Williams or Commissioner Thompson?
I think we've been dealing with this for quite a while. It seems like I think we've passed everything that we were supposed to pass, and now whatever this part right here is just to, I guess, to formally make that happen. Is that what it is? It's not changing anything except for the amendment.
Yeah, it's not changing anything. This is part of what is necessary for the bond to go through the Superior Court for approval there. Like I said, the resolution that you have, the only thing we will need to amend that to say that it includes the interim bond financing that you've already received or that you're receiving from Synovus, I believe. But no, nothing in terms of the substantive things that you've already approved is changing. It's just formalizing it.
Any discussion, Commissioner Thompson?
Yeah, I have a question. So we're saying that it's $2.83 million, right? Does that include the amount that the loan that we received, the $2.7 million? Is that what you're?
That is the total cost for the bond project. It includes interim bond financing and permanent bond financing.
Okay.
Oh, 2.387. I mean, $2,387,000. That's what's on this resolution. Is it more than that?
No,
No, that's the amount.
Kathy, Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's the amount being financed.
That's the
The
amount.
project is more than that, but that's all we're financing. The rest is coming from a grant.
Okay, so how much is that now?
$2,387,000.
And the additional is coming from a grant.
Okay.
Yeah, you've approved the project. This is just formalizing, approving the financing.
Is this the same project wherein part of it is supposed to be forgiven after a period of time? Part of what we got from USDA is supposed to be forgiven.
No, ma'am.
So-
Not the $2,387,000 is not forgiving. What we have to do is we have to provide interim financing. Once we spend that, then the USDA bond will kick in. So we have to spend the money before the USDA would give us their bond. But none's forgiven.
Any other questions? No other discussion? I make a motion that we adopt this bond resolution for bond financing.
Can't do that. Sorry.
Uh,
Chairman, can't do that.
Okay.
Can't do that. One of us gotta do that. Please. I mean, you can't make the motion and carry it too. Somebody else make that motion.
I make a motion that the amount of $2.38 million total be adopted. Am I saying it? Yes, okay.
That's it.
To make it clear, you might there's a resolution there. Might be clear because it includes more than just the amount in there. It also says that everyone who's an official at the Utility Commission and who was an employee or an agent has the authority to do what they have to do to make sure to sign paperwork. That way you don't have to come back every time there's a document that needs to be signed associated with the bond resolution. So the appropriate motion might be to adopt the resolution with the understanding is it'll include the interim financing as well. But the total amount will not change.
Hey, does she need to make an amendment to that motion, or that motion just with that understanding?
That if it wasn't seconded, that one.
Okay, well, I can do it over. I can amend it if you want me to.
Yes, ma'am, to adopt the resolution would be appropriate.
Okay, I'll offer a motion that we adopt the resolution for the interim bond financing the 2.38 million
And the permanent bond financing. The
upon
total.
financing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
I second.
Did you get a second on the motion?
I second. it.
All right, we got a second on the motion. Motion carried. We call for the vote. All in favor, raise your hand so Ms. Penny can count us. I raise my hand. Can you see Miss Thompson there, Penny?
Yep, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That carried. The vote is unanimous. All right, we're gonna move on. General Manager, you want to move on to the budget or?
Yes, that's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, move on to our budget fiscal year 21 budget. And I know that's the brains of the organization there.
Yeah, we're gonna have Kathy provide us with a presentation of the budget. She'll be presenting some information via her screen, so you can all take a look at it as she goes through it.
All right. Can everybody see my screen?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I don't.
All right.
Yeah.
Try it again.
There we
There we go.
There we go.
All right. So the PowerPoint presentation is just a summary of what everybody should have received today in their binder. And as I go through these, please let me know if you have any questions. Stop me. I'll be glad to answer any questions. And when I'm sharing my video, I can't see everybody, so you may just have to holler at me because I won't see if somebody just raises their hand. So this, when you open your binder, you've got your table of contents. The page right after the table of contents is your budget summary history. So this does a comparison all the way back from the 2015 budget year. And this gives a comparison year over year. We won't spend too much time on this. This is for your information, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. One thing I wanted to note is when you look at personnel services, when you're comparing from 15-16 to 17-18, you'll see a decline from $5,035,000 to $2,259,000. And the reason you see that decline is beginning of budget year 18, we reorganized how we reported the water plant and the wastewater plant, and their salaries and expenses became cost of goods sold. So you see the total expenses for those years are about the same, but that category, some of those costs got rolled into the cost of good for the plant, water plant and wastewater plant. Any questions on that?
So is that why we don't have anything for for 2015-16?
For in what area?
And the cost of goods sold.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I
It's
see.
just, it was just a reporting difference.
All right.
Yep. And because when we converted to Encode in 2018, at the same time, we changed our general ledger to match that of the state of Georgia, which was a requirement by our auditors. And when you do that, it changed your categories.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the commissioners voted to change those categories. Was it 3 years ago?
Yeah, it might have been 17 because that's when we started the conversion. We used FERC before, and it was preferred that we followed the standard Georgia chart of accounts. Okay, so we'll start with the summary. And this is much like the monthly financials that I present. So we're going to start in the far right, which is the total column, and then we'll go through each department individually. So the total for charges for services are $23,184,616. And then you've got some other operating revenues. So your total operating revenues are $24,900,455. No, $24,009,455.
Right.
All right, and then cost of good is $14,389,173. And total expenses, $10,467,901, which leaves us with an operating income of negative $847,619. And you always need to add back in your non-cash expenditures, which is your depreciation, because that's money that's already been spent. We just have to allocate those expenses each year into the operating budget. So once you add those back in, we're requesting capital outlays for operations of $410,000, administration $680,000, your debt service funding, which are our notes to GFA, which will also include the USDA bond once that's completed, is $320,408. So for cash required, we still need $769,642 for a balanced budget. And the plans would be to pull that money from reserves.
Reserve.
Would you go back and clarify for them on the debt service about the USDA and whether that payment is included in that number that you presented?
The USDA is not. The new 2.3 million loan is not. What is included in this debt service are the two new GFA loans that we'll be executing hopefully by the end of the month. One is 2.5 million and then the other is 200,000. It does include repayment on those.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We needed a total of, we're in negative of 769,642, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're in negative of that. And you said that we were getting it from which expense?
No, we would pull that from our reserve savings account.
The reserve savings. Okay.
Right.
What is presently in the reserve savings now?
Let me total that up. For 4.6 million.
All right. Okay. All right. And how much are we getting from the reserves?
Well, if we expend exactly like the budget says, we would expect to pull 769,642.
Okay.
Can I ask this? Is this a reserve saving that's in MEAG or in some other account?
No, it is not in MEAG.
It's not in MEAG. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
And then a note at the bottom, we just always show the percentage that we're paying to the city of Fort Valley. And this year, the 6% of charges for services, and that comes off of the gross amount. We expect to pay out $1,391,077.
1,300,000 what now? I'm sorry.
It's okay. 1,391,077. And it's
And
on the
that,
summary on the PowerPoint at the bottom.
okay. The summary. Okay.
Right.
It's on the PowerPoint, Ms. Rosemary.
Oh, okay then. So it's not on the okay,
Right.
I see it. Okay.
But where
thank
you can find it, in your binder
Uh-huh.
is on your summary page, page number 1.
All right.
Under the categories for expenses, there's one called peel-off payment. It's on page 1, about the middle of the page.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It'll say peel-off payment.
Okay.
Were you able to find it?
I thought I had it, but it was something else. That was
It's
the
behind
purchases.
behind your summaries tab. You have a tab for summary, and if you look at the bottom, it'll say page 1.
Okay.
About halfway in the page.
Peel-off
Under
payment.
depreciation.
I see
Yes,
it.
ma'am. That's it.
I see it. Mhm. So that's the same amount, 077. Okay. Okay, got you. Thank
All right.
you.
Yes, ma'am. And the way that's allocated is per meters. So you'll see that electric has a higher allocation than the other departments. Any other questions on the summary? Okay. So we will move to there we go. So we'll start with electric, and what this slide shows is each department, their revenues, expenses, capital, cash required, and then the graph at the bottom shows you the revenue versus expenses that are in red. The green is the cash provided. Telecom is a negative. It was so small it wouldn't show up, but you'll see, where electric revenue versus expenses and are net in green. Okay, and it's the same, and you'll see water, wastewater are negative, so they're below the line. So we'll start with electric. We projected a little bit higher revenue than this year, than the current budget. We did take into consideration that we've been seeing about a 5% decrease in consumption due to COVID. So we considered that 6 to 8 months out before we're back to normal when we did these projections. Total cost of goods sold, which is the purchase power, $10,263.99. Total expenses, $3,457,478. for net changes in assets of 588,098. With the capital outlays and adding back the depreciation, we're looking for cash provided of 357,280.
So this cash provided was, I mean, we have this is a positive, right?
Well, this is what we project. We don't have it now. This is what
Okay,
we're projecting for next. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, okay, projecting. Okay,
Any questions on the electric? And another thing you'll notice if you look at last year's versus this year's, we went up in bad debt. The several months that we had without disconnecting, we're seeing a higher past due balances. So we project that we're going to have higher bad debt for next fiscal year. All right, no questions on electric?
so, and the 2018-19, you didn't have an amount here.
Okay, I'll go back and look at those are actuals. That wasn't the budget.
Okay. All right.
I'll go back and look at that.
Kathy,
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
when you said fiscal year, the next time when you didn't do your cutoffs and all these kind of things, and so you got some bad debts that you would end up, that's in your audit process you were talking about, right?
No, ma'am, we write off bad debt every 90 days.
Oh, you do.
Or we write it off every month for accounts that are 90 days past due.
Okay. You don't get any reimbursement for COVID for any of that?
No, the utility commission receives no reimbursement.
Okay.
No, ma'am. Mm-mm. Okay, so we'll move to telecom next. Their charges for services were reduced over last year's budget due to one of our customers reduced their dark fiber load. We didn't lose the customer, they just reduced their services. So for total operating revenues, we're looking at 374,824. Cost of goods sold, which is what we pay for our bandwidth, 29,000. Total expenses, 475,602. And then again, with the adding back the depreciation and with the capital cost, we're looking at a loss of 42,827. And Ms. Thompson, I see that 17 and 18 don't have totals, so I'll make those corrections.
All right. So we in the negative $42,827 for our telecom.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Is that solely because of one of the companies that we didn't lose it, you said?
That's correct. We didn't lose it. They just reduced their
They
services.
just reduced their services?
Yes, ma'am.
But we were at negative though before losing that customer. Telecom has basically always operated in that position.
In a position of negative? Is
Yes,
what
that
you're
pretty much holds true with telecom, water, and wastewater.
All right.
Okay, so we'll move to page 4, which is water. And across all services, we're seeing the same reduced consumption. So again, we took COVID into account when projecting these numbers. Total operating revenue, 2,776,212. Cost of goods sold, which is the water plant cost, $921,240. Total expenses, $2,353,198, which puts us at negative $458,698.
Whoa, okay.
All right, so we'll move to page 5, which is wastewater. Total operating revenues, $2,193,163. Total cost of goods sold, which is the cost for the wastewater plant, is $940,696. Total expenses, $2,324,541, which leaves a loss of $743,263.
Okay.
All right, page 6 is gas. And with gas, we're expecting more revenue, but we're also expecting higher cost of goods sold, which leaves our gross margin within $3,000 of what it was last year. But for operating revenues, we're looking at $4,356,581. Cost of goods sold, $2,235,138. Total expenses, $1,857,081, which leaves us with cash provided of $117,867.
Did we increase our gas rates last year?
No, ma'am. The distribution charge was increased in 16.
So it's been 3 years since we increased the gas rates.
4, yes, ma'am.
4 years.
Since
4
we
years.
increased gas rates, and yet we are still coming out in the black. Okay.
Can I go back and add something for Commissioner Thompson? The numbers that you see in water and wastewater are typical numbers for a water and wastewater system. More often than not, they operate in the negative and are usually funded by sources from other enterprise funds or in the traditional government from the general fund.
Okay. So in other words, you're telling me don't worry about that negative figure there, huh?
No, because I worry about it all the time because I'm trying to figure out a way
I know I
to
do
get it
too.
down.
Yes.
What I'm saying is it's typical, but we're always trying to figure out how to reduce that number. I don't want you to be alarmed thinking we've gone from 0 to that in a matter of 2 or 3 years. That's my whole point.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So those were the totals for the operating budget. Any questions on that before we move to the capital request?
Who is that one person that's the superintendent of electric and gas now? Is that Clay?
No, Jason Baker is operations manager over electric, gas, and telecom.
Okay.
Clay is operations manager over water and wastewater.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Somebody need to give him a free dinner. Jason.
Okay, so we'll move to our capital. And again, on the PowerPoint, it's just a summary. In your packages, you have the details. So we'll start with the first request that's on page 9. And that's a highway, it's an electric project. It's Highway 96 East System Upgrade and Coordination for New High School.
What page we're on?
Page 9, behind your capital tab.
Okay. So we didn't go over the other three pages? Or are you
Okay,
coming back
so-
to that?
Well, the first page is the summary, and that's what's on the PowerPoint, and the
All right.
details are behind it.
Okay,
So then page 8 is just the headers for each capital request.
okay.
And then page 9 starts the actual detail of the request.
Okay.
All right.
So
Uh,
I'm with you there.
Okay. So the electric department has determined that due to the high school being built, we need to upgrade our lines out Highway 96. And behind the request is a map and with red showing the area that will be updated. And this needs to be done because the power quality at the high school puts that area in an additional load. To improve reliability, we need to upgrade that. And they're requesting $213,836.70. And that includes contingency. And I believe Baker's on, so if there's any questions, Jason Baker might can answer them for you.
So Jason, you're saying that we're gonna need this in addition to everything else? 213,000?
Yes, ma'am. This will basically increase our stability, I guess, for that line. That's going to be feeding the high school.
Okay, now,
And it's not just for the high school, it's gonna affect every house that's off that line.
That's correct.
Can I make this comment?
east,
Also, we're gonna expect that I-96 corridor to pick up as far as economic development is concerned too. I'm sure that's gonna happen. And so to sit and wait, and we already got a low, I think we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot. Am I making sense with that, Craig?
I couldn't hear you. Try to get there.
I said because the I-96 corridor, we expect for economic development to pick up out that way, going out toward I-75. We expecting that to happen. And if we already got a low going that way because of what we are pulling from 49 across, we kind of be shooting ourselves in the foot to kind of sit and wait until costs go up in order to do that. Am I making sense, or am I?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, you can feel free to call me stupid if you want to, but to me, it makes sense that if we're gonna do some things out 96, and I think that's going to be the wave of the future as far as development is concerned. If we stay 1 or 2 jumps ahead of that, we can stay a few dollars ahead of that too.
That's a good assessment.
Okay.
okay.
Okay, so page 11 is the next request.
I just one question more. That was good, Mayor Williams. I understand what you're saying, but let me just ask, where exactly? I know Highway 96 East is going to be. How are we going to do that? Because I guess I'm looking at Highway East over near me. Well, west is by me, but east going that way. So how will we upgrade? I mean, just help me. Don't call me stupid. Just tell me, how will we do that? I mean,
I'm sorry. We'll be replacing those lines and upgrading to basically larger diameter lines.
Okay,
that can handle a larger load.
all
And
right,
as well as putting protection on any taps that come off of that line, meaning taps, meaning streets and other
okay,
houses. And basically we'll be protecting that line as well as those houses for any kind of faults that we have on those lines. Basically you have a backbone and then you have these taps coming off. So that backbone will be protected from those taps. If a tree was to fall on a line on one of those roads, it would not take out that entire backbone in the school and everything else. It would isolate it to that one section.
This is not the technical electrical side of Commissioner Thompson though, but we do own the roadbed all the way up to Highway 41. City owns the roadbed all the way up to Highway 41. And
right,
it is our plan to follow an annexation plan. I don't know how long it's going to take, but some years ago, Charles Jones, if he's still on the line, I don't know whether he's still wearing those shoes with the hole in them or not, but he walked out there asking about residents being annexed in the city. And we have those covenants that have been signed. The only one that would not sign it is the one that sold his property to Pure Flavor. He's the only one that would not sign that covenant and would not agree to be annexed into the city. We have those covenants for everybody else now. I have to find out how long the statute of limitation is on that, but it's still in our plan to annex out that way because that's the only way Fort Valley is going to get its piece of the pie of
okay,
what goes on out that way. So anyway,
okay.
Covenants don't expire.
it's
Oh.
going to expire.
The covenants do not expire.
It has.
They do not.
They do not expire. Okay. Are you still wearing the shoes with the holes in them?
I still got them.
But he did most of them except for Lenny Finster. He was the only one that
Fenster,
held
yeah,
out. Okay.
Fenster and Hunt Brothers, who's right at Highway 41. They're the two that you don't have annexation covenants for.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And so page 11 is the second request. And this is from the meter department. And this is tanless full deployment. Back in 2018, we completed phase 1 of the tanless pilot. And last year we approved phase 2, which included some polyphase meters for the businesses. And we're still working on getting those installed. Due to COVID, there was some delay in manufacturers getting those to us. But this year we're requesting to go full deployment, which would be 1,500 disconnect smart meters. Again, this system is a full overlay and it would allow us to read water and gas meters on top of the electric. It would give us the opportunity to create a portal for customers. They can log in and see their hourly and daily usage. We'd be able to detect water leaks and send alerts to customers real time, or they could go into the portal and set that up themselves. And we'd able to track problems and schedule repairs. And we've seen that on several circumstances where it'll show us when there's voltage issues. And we alert our electric department and they go out and investigate and make necessary repairs. It also increases our turnaround time when we have transfers of service. It decreases truck rolls for disconnects and reconnects, and especially for rereads, because we don't have to roll a truck. We could do that from in-house. And we get tamper alerts, which even with a few out there, that has been a huge help, because we'll get, when people pull the meter, I get a text. And if it happens in the middle of the night, then I know somebody's out there tampering with the meter, and we roll a truck the next morning to investigate. And catching those immediately helps with loss of revenue from the meters being tampered with. Any questions on that project? And that request is for $664,662.90. That includes contingency.
Yeah, remember we started this project in 2018. This will close it out for us, and we'll be moving forward with this system fully functional.
So they're gonna estimate it to take 2 additional years?
It will probably take 2 years to do the full deployment with the 1,500 meters. This will not have to be approved each year. This is a one-time cost, but it would just take up to 48 months or 24 months to complete the project.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect it to be completed any shorter than 24 months.
No.
So I just want to make certain that we're only getting 1,500 meters.
Correct. Those 1,500 electric disconnect meters.
Okay.
Now, with this project, I mean, sometimes we have to replace some in-house, but this particular project would be a lump sum of 1,500.
Okay. So do you think that eventually will we need more than this?
With this system, the way it was designed is a smart meter can read another electric meter that's not a smart meter. It's called an overlay system. So with the 1,500 meters, it was designed that we would not need any additional electric meters as long as the ERT, which is a device inside the electric meter, doesn't go bad. And we do have some aging infrastructure, so we do periodically have to purchase new meters, but that's in our normal operating budget, not in our capital budget.
Okay.
So that's why you're not hearing us say we need to go out and replace every meter, because these 1,500 that we've got will be talking to several other 1,000 meters that are already out there in the field.
Okay. One of the reasons I don't have one of the electric meters, they still have to walk and read mine. I guess it's called the ERT, right?
Yes. Well, yes, they use ERTs. They do a drive-by with the ERT device.
Yes.
Yes. The smart devices would not require a meter reader to actually go out and read the meter by drive-by or by walking. It sends the reads back to the office.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'd rather them come and walk and read mine because I read it too. So you don't have to put one here for me.
And you would still be able to read it.
Okay.
But not only would you be able to read it, if you had one and once the portal was set up, you'd be able to log in and see your hourly usage. Okay. And that was very beneficial last year when we could do weather audits, the weatherizations in the home. I would sit down with the customers and look at their hourly usage, and it really helped them understand what they came home and turned on that was getting such a high reading. So it was a great benefit. And I think it'll benefit the commission moving forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions on full deployment? Okay. Page 12 is a server. And this server will host the Tantalus system. But even if we don't move forward with full deployment of Tantalus, we need this server because our current domain controller is more than 10 years old, and it's been identified as one that needs replaced.
I thought we replaced this. I thought we voted on this. Maybe this is something different. Okay.
You may be thinking at the water plants, they put in new computers and new software for their SCADA systems.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's not what this is.
Okay.
If
Okay.
Zach is on the call, he may can explain a little more on the server's usage.
Yes, ma'am. So these servers, one, they're going to be replacing servers that we've got that run our network that, like Kathy said, are at least 10 years old. The other thing they'll do is bring the encode server in-house. Right now, we're having to pay to have it hosted. And that monthly bill, I don't know what the exact cost is, but it's a whole lot cheaper to have it in-house.
And I think you mean the Tanless, right? Not
The
the encode.
Tanless. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Tanless.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on the server? All right. Page 13 is our next request, and that's for the gas department. And this is the Park Avenue gas main replacement. They're asking for $196,174. And this is this project has to be done. It was identified through distribution integrity management plan, and we have to report this to the PSC. There's several streets that have to be completed, and this particular one we have to start on it. I think we have to be done by December 31st. Is that correct, Jason Baker?
We have to start by December 31st.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've already pushed this off 3 years
That's
because
correct.
of some budget concerns, and we're at the point we have to move on it now.
And page 14 is a map, and there's a yellow highlight that shows the area of the replacement.
Okay.
Any questions on capital?
So all of these streets that are not, that are on page 14, those are the ones that we're gonna address?
This particular project is Park Avenue. It's a darker
Yeah, I
yellow.
know. Right. I know Park Avenue. I know that, but I was just saying the additional ones, the streets, like
Yeah.
Walden and all of those, are we gonna address those eventually, or?
No, ma'am, this project is for, it actually is 6 streets, which would be the Park, Shamley, Forest, all the way over to West, or the, excuse me, Valley View, or Hardeman, I'm sorry.
Hello.
But we have a plan for, each year to replace 1 street at a time until we get those
Right.
streets replaced.
Okay, I remember going over this. So I just need to know the other streets. Park is one, number one. And who will be the second?
Well, Westview was number 1,
Westview. Okay,
and Park, and I believe it's Shamley, Forest, and Hardeman after that.
all right. Okay. Will you stop at Hardeman, or are you gonna keep going?
Well, for this particular situation with our DIMP program, the distribution integrity management, that's where that particular project will stop. Yes, but as we see a need to replace other streets, we will.
Yeah, we have an ongoing inspection program to identify these problems.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so now we'll move to the personnel tab. And the slideshow is the same thing that's on in your binder. And I just got some key highlights. And this shows you, oh, forgive my PowerPoint. that should be 21 and last year should be 20. It's correct in your binder. So total personnel services increased 120,192, or a 2.4% increase. Group health insurance increased $47,530, or 4.4%. And we did not have an increase in premiums. This increase we associate to change in employees. When you have employee turnover, you may no longer have an employee that needs single coverage. Your new employee needs family coverage, and that one employee would equate for $21,000 additional in health and premiums, just going from single to family.
Kathy, I've been waiting to talk about that. I thought Raphael had gotten with Craig on it and said he'd been trying to get Craig and he.
Well, I haven't had any calls or messages from Raphael on this, Mayor.
I don't know why he drug on that. But when we met with our insurance representatives last week, I asked this question even before I became mayor. We have 89 employees. And how many employees does the Utility Commission have?
About 55.
About 55. So if you added 89 and 55 together, couldn't we get some better insurance rates in that? Now, I was told long and then we had a different kind of insurance. We had fully insured, a part and whatever, and they shared with us this time, we got the same thing. So why we not combine all those employees together into one pool so that we could lower our insurance rates?
We could certainly have that discussion, Mayor.
Please.
I'd also like to add on this group insurance. We've been very fortunate over the last 3, maybe 4 years that we have not seen an increase, and across the industry, folks are seeing increases anywhere from 7 to 10%.
Mm-hmm.
To be quite honest with you, I haven't been able to figure out exactly what we're doing right here, because I would have expected us to see that increase. And I'm more than willing to sit down and have a conversation with Raphael to see if there's some possibility to extract some value in pooling the two.
Actually was assigned that task last week when we met with him. I got the folder here on my desk, was hoping that I would have some feedback when we get ready to start dealing with our budget. And I think it's a little bit later on, but I'm looking at, instead of looking at 89 employees, I'm looking at now 130 something employees that we could have in our pool. And I think I don't see much different from what y'all are doing. Y'all have the exercise thing in house, but we have the gym. We do the gym membership in order to do those kinds of things in order to keep us healthy. So I'm not seeing much difference in what's done with those employees than with ours. So if you have a little time to sit down and talk about it, let's see if we can save us some money. Okay.
Is this your first year that you've not been self-insured?
I think this is the first year we've not been self-insured. Right.
We can have a conversation, because the folks that we're using have been able to, for lack of better words, work miracles for us over the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
I think each year I've told you guys next year expect a 7 to 10% increase, and they've managed somehow to shop us and keep those numbers down.
We specifically asked them if we combine both the employee numbers, wouldn't we? And they said they would be glad to write us up a proposal with that. But that's why I thought somebody had already done it. But anyway, if y'all can get together and take a look at that and see if we can save us some money. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so this year's budget includes an employee cost of living increase of 2%. The retirement expenses increased, sorry for the typo, 38,646, or 11.3%. The GMA defined plan contribution increased from 9.16 to 9.41%. The 401.
Where are you reading from, Kathy? I'm lost.
On the PowerPoint on your screen.
Okay.
But but the totals are in your binder.
On
So
what-
in your binder, it's got on page, well, the personnel section, it's got retirement expense increased 38,646.
Okay, I see it. I see
Okay.
it.
And then our 401A employer match for the 457 deferred comp plan is a 3% match, which is no change from last year. Any questions on this slide? Okay, so if there's no questions, the next section is your, oh, we'll go over this slide. So one thing we like to look at each year when we look at our total expenses, we look at what's controllable and what's uncontrollable. And this pie chart just shows you how high the percentage is for uncontrollable expenses. And those uncontrollable expenses are depreciation, franchise fees, which is now known as PLOF, and cost of goods sold. So 69% of our budget is considered uncontrollable.
That includes cost of gas and energy and all those sorts of things.
Right.
You said the franchise, which is now called the PLOF,
Yes, ma'am.
and what's the other two?
Depreciation
Depreciation.
and cost of goods sold, which includes our purchase of power, our purchase of gas, and our running the water and wastewater plants. And bandwidth, our cost for bandwidth for telecom.
Okay. So we are considered what's uncontrollable.
Ma'am?
Okay, you said that what's controllable and what's uncontrollable.
Yes, ma'am.
So under those, we have depreciation, the franchise, the cost of the goods sold. I'm just asking where do we fall? What do we fall up under? Controllable or uncontrollable?
I guess I don't.
I'm not sure to understand your question.
Okay.
We're saying that 69% of our budget, we don't have control over. It's controlled by the industry in terms of power. It's controlled by depreciation. Those are things that we don't have the ability to make a whole lot of adjustments on.
Okay, so in other words, it's uncontrollable, right? If you're saying it's 69%, 69% is going to give us, we don't have control of what's that from 100. We're talking about what? 31% we only have control of it?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct. Represented in the blue, 7,731,824.
Okay. Okay then. This on my phone, this writing is too small for me to see. So I'm sorry. I
Okay.
didn't do that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Any more questions on controllable versus uncontrollable? All right, so that's it for the slides. The only thing left in your binder is your details section. And this is just the summary that was presented earlier is based off this detail. So it's every line item. And then you have a section for notes, and it's just blank pages for any notes that you want to take, which is the end of my presentation, but I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
So typically, what we do here is we give you guys the next week or so to go through this budget, kind of stand it up, take a really close look at it. Send questions back or call me with questions. Kathy and I sit down, work on what you presented to us, and then we'll meet again for further discussion. I think it's next Tuesday, the date that's scheduled. Is that correct, Kathy? Or is
Yes.
it Wednesday? Tuesday.
I think it's Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, so that concludes our budget analysis and explanation from financial guru, Miss Kathy. And we'll come back next week with a conclusion on this budget, General Manager.
I'm sorry, can't hear you.
We'll come on next meeting on the 9th with on the next week, next Tuesday, for finalization of our budget fiscal year 21.
Yes, that's correct.
Which is tomorrow?
Oh, the next meeting is the 15th, right?
Yes. Next
Yeah,
Tuesday, the 15th.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, that's our work session evening. And we had started moving our work sessions to 4 o'clock in the afternoons with COVID as a Zoom meeting. Should I just kind of reschedule that to about 5 maybe? Or should we kind of do it? I have classes from 12:30 until 3:15. So
Well, Mary, is it possible to do yours starting at 5? I think we would probably be finished by 4:30, 4:45.
okay, we'll move it to 5.
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate that, Mayor.
All right.
So ours would be 3 o'clock or 3:30 still.
3:30.
Okay.
Okay, so our next meeting will be next Tuesday, 3:30, and we'll address the finalization of our fiscal year 21 budget. Anything else you need from us, Miss Kathy, on this budget, General Manager, today?
No, sir. No, sir. We're just
Okay,
await your.
I think you had another agenda item. Are you going to deal with the vacancy?
Yes, sir. We're going on to the next item, filling the vacancy of Westford, resignation of Mr. Bob Honey and East. Exit
A lot of static. I don't know why, but it's a lot of static.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, going to move on with the filling of the vacancy filling of vacancies for the East Ward and the West Ward, vacated by West Ward by Bob Honeycutt and East Ward by Dr. Linda Johnson. Mr. Attorney, Mr. Jones, you would like to comment on that?
Well, you know, well, I guess everyone's aware of the vacancies. You have the authority to call an election, and there's enough time now to have a special election on the November ballot. But you have to actually call for the election.
That's a little bit, that's a little bit inaccurate. In filling vacancies, the commissioner was supposed to send us a notification of the vacancy, which Mr. Honeycutt did his, well, Charles did that. We got Mr. Honeycutt's, but we didn't get Miss Linda's, and of course we know she has passed, but something official was supposed to come to mayor and council. We would be notified by the commission, and then that vacancy would be filled by the mayor and council. That's in our charter. Now, we attempted a few months ago to make that change, but it didn't go to the legislature. So it's still in the charter that that's supposed to be done as such. Now, the person that will be selected will serve until the next general election of the city. And then at such election, the unexpired term shall be filled by the qualified voters of the city. And of course, Representative Bentley said that's why she didn't deal with that, because she thought the city, the constituents, the people should be making that decision. But for the rest of the unexpired term, it's in the charter that the council will do that. And the only reason you hadn't heard anything about it is because we didn't really need to address that until the lady's in the ground, and she ain't in the ground yet. So it's a little bit too soon to start, well, for us to start talking about that, but it wasn't too soon for y'all to send us a notification. And so I think that was the proper way that things needed to be done. And I'm asking that we get back on track with doing things the proper way.
Well, that's my opinion. I don't think that the charter provision applies to the utility commission at this point.
Yes, it does. It's right there under utility commission.
Yes, ma'am. I understand what the charter says, but I'm telling you, based on the legislation that is passed, if you were to ask my legal opinion, I will tell you it does not apply to the utility commission.
No,
So,
sir. If that was the case, Representative Bentley would have chimed in on that. When y'all were trying to get her to go back to the General Assembly and do something different, she would have chimed in on that. If y'all would look at Article 2 of the Utilities Commission, Section 90-41. I'm sorry, Section 90-42.
Mayor, I'm very familiar with it, but I'm telling you, in my opinion, based on the legislation that was passed and the way the utility commission is set up right now by the state of Georgia, I don't think that charter provision applies. I mean, you can choose to do what you want to do. I'm just telling you, I don't think the charter provision applies with regard to the city's authority to fill a vacancy on the utility commission.
When it comes to following the law, we don't go on opinions. When it comes to following the law, and this is the law, we don't go on opinions.
Well, let me tell you what I think happened. The only, based on what we've gone through already between the utility commission and the city,
right?
The only reason to try to get that, in my mind, the only reason to try to get something through the legislature to clarify it was so that we wouldn't be in this position right now.
Exactly, and we don't need to be going through this again. Just do what's right. The law is what's right.
Well, what is right is that charter provision does not apply to the utility commission. That's going to be that's the way I read it.
There's nothing in this charter that says that does not apply to the utility commission. Now, we have been to court one time, and I sure wouldn't want us to have to go back again. I don't think a judge is going to I don't think a judge or anybody else is going to be looking at us favorably if we come cutting the fool again. And I don't want us to do that. This is the law. And of course, in my job, I'm supposed to secure the law. So I'm gonna do that. That's what y'all voted for me to do, is to make sure we execute the law. So now if you want to break the law and take that chance and go through that stuff again, I just really would not. We had said that we're gonna try to stop that mess.
I'm not suggesting you do that, but I will tell you that that whole 2.5 years of litigation that you just came out of was based on the same premise that you're saying right now. The charter says this. That's the whole reason you went through what you went through.
But it didn't change. That part of it didn't change.
Okay.
There's some things that changed, but that part of it didn't change.
Yes, ma'am.
It will not be changed until the next election.
Your whole charter with regard to the city, with the utility commission changed.
No, sir. The whole charter didn't do that. The charter, the 685 clarified some things, but it didn't clarify the whole charter. And of course, it was said that our next move is supposed to be to have a charter commission that would include our local representatives and go over that and do whatever is necessary. And when we started talking about doing that during this year, our local representatives said we didn't need to do it now because all the time that was going to be allocated right now is dealing with the budget, state budget, and all of that. And that wasn't going to be priority right now. So if it was not priority then, the charter is still intact.
I understand what you're saying. I just, from a legal standpoint, I just disagree with you. But I understand what you're saying, and what you choose to do is what you choose to do. I'm just telling you what I think the law is based on what has transpired over the last.
It's still intact. Just look at it and read it. I mean, Stephen Wonder can see it.
Mayor, but that's the same argument that the city used throughout all the litigation. Was that the charter says that?
I can't help it. Can't help it, Charles. That is our Bible right there.
But you understand that's the same losing argument that led to 2 years of litigation that the city lost.
We didn't totally lose it.
You lost absolutely every.
If it was lost, we wouldn't be getting any money from y'all right now.
No, man.
You said that the last time. That's not true. That is not true.
Man, I'm not trying to argue with you, but actually, that's what you said is not.
I'm just saying, if you want to break the law, then you break the law. I'm not going to break it.
You can choose to what you want to do, but if you ask me my opinion, I'm telling you, that does not apply to the utility commission. But you guys can choose to do whatever you choose to do.
What we choose to do is what the charter says. That's what we choose to do, and that's our plan.
Well, that's the same. If you're basing it just on what your charter says, that's the same losing argument that the city has used.
And it will not be a losing argument, I guarantee you. Okay. Right? I'm sorry. We didn't need to get into this way. But I'm sitting here looking at it right here in front of me, and that's like somebody, I'm saying today is Tuesday, and somebody said no, it's Wednesday. I'm sorry.
So what you're saying is going by the city's charter is the way it's supposed to be, and not allowing the special election to take place so that the people can vote and put someone in the East Ward and the West Ward as expeditiously as possible.
If the council decides a special election should happen, then a special election shall happen. But the charter said that until the next election, and I'm sure they were looking at saving money by doing that. Nobody wants to spend money that they don't have to spend. I read it to you what it said, and it didn't change. It said finish the unserved term of the person. And then at that time, the expired term shall be filled by the qualified voters of the city at that time afterwards. So I would suggest you do what the people and what the charter says, unless you just want to be the enemy and do it again. We've been through this for a whole year, 2 years, and it ripped the heart out of a bunch of folk on both sides, on your side, my side too. It ripped the hearts out of both folk. We wasting precious time trying to do something for this city and acting fools. I mean,
Well, man, we went through this a few months ago, and if I remember correctly, it was brought out of votation when the utility commission brought it, and here we are with the same thing of what the city charter says against what the utility commission. I think the utility commission should be able to call the special election so the people can put someone in place to represent them.
Let me tell you what the utility commission was doing. The Utilities Commission was hiding the fact that Bob Honeycutt didn't live in Fort Valley and was not eligible to serve on the Utilities Commission. So they were trying to ease him out of here, Mr. Al. Nobody is crazy. You were trying to ease him out of here before it had to be embarrassing to him, which it would be. And I think it would have still gone on if he had not sent Miss Penny that letter saying Monday was going to be his last day, and sent it to all of the commissioners. That letter had gone to y'all on the 21st. I only got it on the 31st, which is you might well say 10 days later. That was later. That says to me that you were hiding something. But you couldn't hide the fact that God wanted to take Leonard Johnson. You couldn't do that. And so if you don't look at things with what's happening, the way things are going, and stop the stuff, it's going to be some more stuff.
All right, now let's bring this all in place. That was personal.
That letter was forwarded.
Yeah, but it's the truth.
This needs
The letter was
together, and we need to have this go into a special election so the people can vote for who they want in the West Ward and the East Ward. You called it voter suppression a couple of months ago when we tried that earlier, and here we are. You're doing the same thing.
I'm calling it common sense right now, because I read what it says. That's common sense.
For the city. The city charter for the city of Valley Mayor and Council,
if you took
not
a poll
the utility commission.
among the people, Mr. Al, they would not only tell you that it's the city, it's everybody else thinking the same way. So now y'all stop your stuff and let's do right.
I appreciate you stopping it also.
Yes.
Mr. Attorney, what would you have us do at this point?
I will say again, I don't think the law allows the city to make the appointment. To me, it seems like the judicious thing to do would be allowed to allow the citizens to vote. You have an opportunity, you have the authority for an election to be had in November. That's the quickest that you can have it. And seems to me that, I mean, my legal and my personal opinion is that the voters should be allowed to vote. And it's just a matter of calling for an election. I think you have a proposed resolution that would allow you to do that.
We will have this item on our workshop agenda on next Tuesday, which is the 15th. And then we will have it in the public meeting on the 17th. We will pass a resolution to appoint, according to what the charter says. We will be doing that. Now, you got your attorney here. I don't have mine here. But we will be doing according to what the charter says. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, recommendation based on the proposed resolution, and certainly the city can take whatever action it chooses to take.
Attorney Jones, I didn't thoroughly hear you. It was breaking up on my side.
Okay. I was just reiterating that my opinion still is what I said before. I think the utility commission is in a position to request or call for a special election if that's what you choose to do, and there is time to have the election in November.
Oh, sir. Now, if y'all had any right about you, what you would have done was did the letter and sent it to us and said that we would like to request that we appoint so and so and so and so, and let your council consider that. They may would have agreed with you. Doesn't matter. But to just be arrogant and arbitrary and saying that, you know, your city council is nothing, your mayor is nothing. I take I'm not gonna say anymore. I just told you what we're gonna put on the agenda next week.
Well, can we get a motion for a special election moving forward? Well, Attorney Jones, we don't get a motion. That fails for lack of a motion.
I think you'll be in a position then where you'll have to do it in March. And I guess between now and I understand what the mayor is saying, but it's not my understanding that anyone was trying to disrespect the mayor and council. It is simply that there's a time crunch. There's not a whole lot of time between now and November 10th. But I don't think there was any intent to try to go, bypass the mayor and council, but the utility commission has to make a decision before they can transmit a decision to the mayor and council. But if you don't have it now, I think you're going to be required to have it. The next time that you can have a special election will be in March.
I've been disrespected ever since I've been in office, but you can have it in March because that's the time that you need to do, or in November when the next council meeting is, you can have that election at that time. But we are going to talk about appointing next week for the unserved time of these two commissioners. To sit here and
no one is intended to disrespect you or the council of the city of Fort Valley. But at the same time, there is a option for special election, and I honestly think the people of the city that vote here should have that option to put someone in place in the East Ward and the West Ward so that we don't be accused of voter suppression as have before. That's all. We love you for what you do. Thank you for your guidance. But we also have the opportunity to move forward with this business.
Thank you. We're going to do that with our business on next Tuesday and next Thursday. And then until that time, you will have an appointed representative. So you won't have 3 commissioners sitting in a meeting. And with the chairman jumping up to try to make a motion, and that's not right. So we will be moving forward next week so that we will appoint 2 commissioners, one for the West Ward, one for the East Ward, to fill the unexpired term until such time as that special election.
The whole crux of the litigation that you just lost, the result of that was that the city of Fort Valley does not dictate to the utility.
Stop saying lost. Stop saying lost.
If
you lost just as much as we did. You didn't want to give us a dime. You didn't want to give us a dime, the city a dime. And as a result of that, we came to a compromise. So now you need to come to a compromise instead of being fools. That's what
that's not true. Actually, the utility commission had offered you more than what you're getting in a peel off right now.
No, they did.
Attorney, but they offered you more.
No, they did.
The attempt.
Republicans in there thinking that y'all had done the same thing you had been doing for 50 years and still gonna do the same thing you've done for 50 years, and that's what's gonna keep up. I'm sorry.
Man, you can say that, but see, I know because I drafted the documents.
Yeah, well, I don't care what you drafted. I don't care what you drafted. I don't care what you drafted. With what you did, we can survive. It was said that y'all were going to make the utility commission go broke. That's what was said. I mean, make the city go broke. That was what was said. And so watch your mouth when you do stuff like that, because it come back to haunt you. That is not going to happen. And Charles, I'm sorry, because I think you're a good lawyer, but I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes.
We're having difficulties hearing. So is there any way we can, we're gonna have to table this? I know I'm having difficulties hearing and understanding. Like to table the fact that the filling of the vacancies. we'll need to wait for Mayor Williams to do what she has to do, and we just wait until the 15th and 17th of next week.
And it's appropriate to wait until the lady is buried. I'm sorry.
Attorney Jones, that we didn't get a motion to move on with the filling of the vacancies. I guess we'll have to wait until our special election rolls around in March. Unless there's some.
Yeah, certainly you cannot take any official action on it without a motion in a second. Yes.
Correct. So that continues, that's all of our agenda items, and we're gonna have to bring this meeting to a close. I thank you all for attending. Thank you all for voicing your opinions. And of course, thank you for serving the citizens of Fort Valley, Peach County. Thank you. Good night.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.